What's up, everybody? Today's video will feature the first top 8, which is books. And as previously discussed, number 1 on the list is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And I realized that if I showed it on camera, it'll be backwards. And I'll just talk about it and add some little effects, do what I can to make it nice and cool. But anyway, this, like I said, book was about just small things becoming bigger over time and just putting in the work, man. 5 minutes of work, 10 minutes of work. I went and ran my mile yesterday, a mile at a time. I'm up to 3 straight days on my miles. So 3 miles in the last 3 days. The Compound Effect. The next book is The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman. While technically he's not talking about flat earth in this book, which I am a believer of, by the way. Shout out to the Globe guys and the naysayers. It's all love here. But one of the things about this book is kind of old. It was completed in 2005. So some things, I'm going to just pull out some quotes from a quote from each book in case I can't directly recall some things to quickly explain. But here he says, it's on page 305 if anybody is interested. I'm not suggesting that we militarize education, but I am suggesting that we do more to push our young people to go beyond their comfort zones, do things right, and to be ready to suffer some short-run pain for longer gain. And what that says to me is, first, in America, we need to redo the entire educational system, grades K through 12. I think is a complete and utter joke. I think children should be taught to challenge authority in respectful ways, of course, like the whole raise your hand thing, that's cool, but it's just a lot of shit in the school system that I don't necessarily agree with that needs to be overhauled. And teaching kids the right stuff like taxes, how to own a home, stocks, shit that really matters when you get out of school outside of y equals mx plus b, which is fucking slow, but which actually does help in the stock market though. Third is The Lucifer Effect by Philip Zimbardo. This book was written on the Stanford prison experience. It was in the 70s. I'm not going to try to guess the year, but some students at Stanford agreed to sign up and be studied, some as inmates and some as correctional officers, and it just more or less talks about how the system and crab in a bucket ordeal affects people. And what I want to pull from this book is, power is a concern when people either have a lot of it and need to maintain it, or when they have not much power and want to get more. However, power itself becomes a goal for many because of all the resources at the disposal of the powerful. So I think that speaks for itself in a sense that motherfuckers who got power want to stay in power, and with that power, they can do a lot of things, which is mislead and lie. And personally, I think everything is manipulated through the media and things of that nature, which also goes to 2 of the books that I am going to bring up here. And just not yet, but the next one that we have is The Broken Ladder, How Inequality Affects the Way We Think, Live, and Die by Keith Payne. So what I thought was really cool, or one thing that I extracted from this book, was the root of the left and right in the politics that we have today, which I also think is a joke. Respectfully, I don't vote, and people will be like, well, you shouldn't have a fucking opinion on it, you don't know shit, and da-da-da-da, but I do read, and I do keep up with the joke-ass political system in America, but I'm going to guess. I may botch it, so I'm not going to guess. So centuries ago, in the French kingdom, the left and the right literally came from what side of the king you sat on. If you sat on his left side or you sat on his right side, and then they went from there. and that's how it spawned into the shit we have in the 21st century. I thought that was very crazy because how something is so simple has grown into extreme leftists, extreme rightists, and once again all this bullshit that they have in politics anyway. And I also believe like the motherfuckers, they get up there and they lie to you. And I've always felt like as a kid, I couldn't conceptualize it or truly explain it, but I always thought that everybody has a boss. And even though most would consider the presidential seat in America as the most powerful place, job, position in America, my belief and opinion is that they have a boss, and the boss is the money. They answer to the money, they answer to the rich motherfuckers, and that's how it works. But Trump, on the other hand, he be bucking the trend because it seems like he just moves on his own accord. So, yeah, once again, don't vote, don't care for voting, because at the end of the day, they're still going to tax the shit out of us, they're still going to lie to us, and life goes on. You do what's best for you and your family, and what works for you. So next we have, so this is 5. Yeah, 5. I've counted out 8 books. Like I said, there's no specific order. But next we have Freakonomics by Stephen D. Levitt and Stephen J. Dubner. And they had a chapter in this book about how abortions lower the crime rate. For the sake of abortions, I support women doing what they want with their bodies. And the next book will kind of go into what I'm going to say anyway. I don't have children. Once again, support women's rights, and they say what the fuck they want to do with their own body. But I thought it was interesting in this book was in Romania, I forget which year it was at one point the Romanian government and people did pass abortion as law, but there was one point that right before they did it, there was this teenage group, I believe between 14 and 16, that were not before or were before the abortion law, and they end up overthrowing and killing the king. Crazy, right? So next, this is actually one of my all-time favorite books, so if I had to rank it, it would probably definitely be top 5. What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains. Well, the actual title is The Shallows. What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains is the subtitle. It's by Nicholas Carr. And there's, as you can see, this one is tagged up. But I think this book is very important for anybody, but specifically parents, for what the screen time is doing to the kids, because respectfully, I think the iPads are pretty much dumbing your kids down and fucking with their attention spans, and parents just throwing them in their face just for them to shut the fuck up and leave them alone, which I don't agree with. I think put some damn books in their face, learn them something, or read them something like that. But he even starts about the Guten Tag press and how the mediums that we receive knowledge has changed over the years and has pretty much affected our attention span. Like you get on the internet and or your phone and your iPad. Like my iPad lit up and I fucking looked over there, but it was the stock market. It was just like our attention get pulled and pushed in so many different ways that it's like we can't like focus on shit. So that's why I always stick with actual physical books. I'm not an ebook guy. I don't fuck with ebooks. I mean, some stuff you can get on the internet for free. So I do have on my iPad that I don't have in my library, but such is life. Book number 7, How Propaganda Works by Jason Stanley. And I pulled a quote out of this book. It's on 163. Here it says, the linguistic mechanisms at work explain why in conversations between members of the dominant group and members of the subordinate group, the members of the subordinate group feel pressure to accept negative stereotypes of their own group. Basically, what I feel like this says to me is that the inferior people simply believe what's being told and spoke about them or being presented about them simply because it comes from the superior group. And I think that's another issue here in our world, is that because somebody gets on a TV screen or has a degree or has a certification and some background or certain shit, that they're always right and they know what they're talking about and their word holds weight. Not that it doesn't, but I think other people have more to offer certain situations, subjects, and ideas, and have just the amount of right to be heard as the professional. And finally, we have Manufacturing Consent. This is by Edward S. Herman and Noam Chomsky, The Political Economy of the Mass Media. Like I said, I believe everything's manipulated. The fucking TV lies to you and things of that nature. So coming in at book 8, we have on page 236, in the United States too, elite groups faced a problem of Reconstruction, but of a different kind. The problem in the U.S. was the reconstruction of ideology, taming of the domestic population that had lost its faith in the nobility of intent and the inspiring benevolence of elites who determine U.S. policy. I feel like the things I just said in the last few minutes pretty much just sums that up. Motherfuckers get on there to keep people oppressed, man. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this here. You don't have to believe me. These are my beliefs, my opinions, but it's just to provoke thought and just come with an open mind to not feel what I'm saying, but just research what I'm saying. Look it up, see how it makes you feel, and just go from there. And that's my first top eight books. Some good stuff. Yes, I've read all those books front to back just once. And I think it's some great information in every book. And I just wanted to spread that light and wanted to spread that word. So hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you all pick up one of these books and come back to me and holler at me about it and have some dialect with it. So peace, love, and blessings.